All right. Let... Seek not on firm ground, but in a golden hall suspended in the void. There waits a child without kin, but with a name blind to truth. Among the blind men and false prophets, a red-robed sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not... A chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks in the scent of oil confound his nose. The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it? I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. Lyra, an outlying world in the Heathen Stars region. In the Coronis expanse, the deeper you go, the less visible the Astronomicon gets, and the less people know about the Imperium. The arrival of a rogue trader is the best thing that can happen. It's an out-of-the-way planetoid between two faint stars. On Lyra, a dozen local tyrants fight over 5 measly continents. But they use everything they can to win, from poison to psychers. I haven't been there in many years, but there's nothing for me to miss. Trust me. But here on the ship is a different story altogether. I saw more wonders in my first year serving Lady von Valancius than I'd seen in my whole life on Lyra. Like my first journey through the warp, I was in bed for 3 days. I felt like supernovas were exploding in my head. I only found out later that I'd gotten off easy. Just through the bulkhead, in the bay next to mine, a whole team turned into... Theodora von Valancius paid a visit to the ruler I was serving at the time. I don't know what the visit was for, and it's no business of mine anyway. I can still remember the way the voices in my head changed when I looked at her. And as I gawped at her, all of a sudden I heard a whisper. A hint, a suggestion, nothing more. But I know the difference between idle chatter and a real threat. I seized my chance and approached Theodora. I managed to whisper a couple of words in her ear before the wardens dragged me away. They beat me and locked me up. No wonder. It wasn't my place to converse with outside. A few times. Not many. And if I think about it, why would I want to? I've got everything I need here. All the whispers I hear are from... It wasn't like it was a very fun trip, Lord Captain. But look, if you... Of course, Lord Captain. None of the officers knew the Lord Captain well. Not even Abelard, and she was always closer to him than anyone else. It's... hard to... Of course.
rogue trader. Gladly, there are none more faithful to the God Emperor than my sisters. We fight against his enemies by the will of the Holy Ecclesiarchy. I beg your pardon, rogue trader. Here I am. It is. The Sisters of Battle are a fire lit by the God Emperor. They are the echo of his voice that travels through the dark expanses of the universe. Once I had completed my novitiate, I was sent to the Calixian branch of the Order of our Martyred Lady. And we seek out the relics that have been lost. Neither a coven of heretics nor the most wicked death world can deter Sisters Pronatus when their goal is to... Don't let the name deceive you. The Order's militant trained sisters to march under both the solace-bringing Sisters' hospitality, and my order has all the more reason to be known for the martial prowess of its sisters. The Order sent me to Footfall. My undertaking was to assist the local priesthood of Drusians in caring for a sacred reliquary. None that I'm aware of, but the sisterhood's orders are many, and can operate independently of one another, sending their sisters wherever their presence is needed as deemed by the Ecclesiarchy. Even the novices of the Adeptus Sororitas are drawn from among the most worthy. Those who have taken the vows and become a full-fledged sister are the... Each such occurrence is a great tragedy for us all. Light cannot bear the smallest speck of darkness within. And thus those wearing nothing but robes, no armor, eviscerator in hand, those sisters who have once faltered. Should any more arise, keeping them to yourself would be imprudent. I first came here when I found myself in need of passage from Footfall to a remote planet. But I imagine what interests you is not that first journey. I made a mistake. In a moment of laxity, I was ambushed by the accursed followers of the archenemy. I was badly wounded. Lady Theodora came to my aid and brought me aboard her ship, where crew attended to me in my weakened state. It all happened not too long ago. I had barely recovered. Sadly, they did not. Lady Theodora was in a hurry and chose not to stay on the planet. Her people took me to a ship while I was unconscious. It happens even to the best of us. My mistakes are my... I hadn't been here that long. Just one journey from Footfall, and the other journey, the majority of which I spent in the confines of the medbay. I can't tell... During the last journey, Seneschal Viserion stood out for me. He came by several times to ask about my health. He's an honorable man and a loyal... But not all of Theodora's people have earned my trust. You know who I'm talking about. There is no place for Adira Tlas among the God Emperor's faithful. I'm surprised she wasn't in league with the cultists. And I'm equally surprised by how deep heresy... Greetings!
Lord Captain. A noble aspiration, Lord Captain. I am ready to acquaint you with all the particulars. In the first instance, you should treat official representatives of the Imperium with respect. The Expanse may be on the fringes, but it still numbers among the territories of the Golden Throne. The arrival of the Lord Inquisitor has turned the Coronis Expanse into a less wild and uncontrolled region, to the regret of some individuals who had grown inured. Rogue traders such as yourself are also servants of the Imperium. They have been accorded special rights and powers. They wield immense authority within their territory, and they enjoy absolute... If we are to speak of unclaimed territory, which is what Footfall is. Among the scum that dwells on that handful of asteroids, there are 3 factions that wield considerable influence in the sector. The first is the Kazbala Commission, organized crime in its most primitive form. It holds sway over the Liege of Footfall, and has links to rogue trader Winterscale. The second faction is an offshoot of our shining Ecclesiarchy, followers of St. Drusus. You know, Lord Captain, I am no admirer of fine art. But when we next find ourselves in a civilized port, with time to spare, I will promptly find an artist and commission a portrait of the individual to whom you refer. We both served Lord Captain Theodora for many years, and we never saw eye to eye. He was brash. He was never afraid of assuming responsibility, and he willingly took on difficult tasks. I am loath to admit it, but the Von Valancius Protectorate continues to reap the fruits of his labors. If you are taking comfort in the thought that we will hear no more of Conrad, prepare to be disappointed. This is a topic for an official briefing, not a casual conversation. But I will try to answer succinctly. And if you permit, in my own words, the Coronis Expanse is considerably removed from Until recently, the Coronis Expanse could hardly have been called a region of the Imperium. The situation has changed with the arrival of the Lord Inquisitor, but not by much. This place operates under its own rules, you see. More radical, so to speak. But ones that allow for a non-standard approach where there is... As you wish, Lord Captain. I thank you for the honor, but I must decline. As a former military officer, I believe in the As you wish, Lord Captain. I am a widower. I am a father of 4, and if my information is not outdated, a grandfather of 11. My family lives on Dargonus. I used to be an officer in the Navis Imperial. I met Lord Captain Theodora on a mission where the Imperial Navy was providing reinforcements to the rogue trader's army on one of the frontier worlds. Our acquaintance was not easy. Working with people outside the Navy hierarchy has never been my strong suit. It was to my great surprise then, that after the mission's completion, I received a referral to leave my service in the Navy. It was a difficult choice for me. But I saw in the offer a chance to serve the interests of humanity even more effectively than in the Navis Imperialis. You could say there was no one among the naval command who was willing to impede the wishes of the rogue trader. To do so would be to risk their own... The Navis Imperialis is an ancient institution with its own mandates and muster lists. On occasion, in the heat of an official briefing, or an informal discussion, I violated those rules, determined to press my point. It is challenging to choose the words to accurately express my opinion on a situation or the actions of others that do not sound... Of course. Lord Captain.
With each step, I forge my destiny among the stars. Let us walk this to the end. We are bound by the blood of martyrs.
They're staring at me with their burnt eyes like I'm a leper. I'm just passing through, all right? So you lots can calm down.
Let the faith guide my path to glory! your duty.